firstly, can you introduce yourselves and what encouraged you to engage us to help with your investment purchase?
Yeah, I'm Jack, and my
I'm
wife's Georgie. I'm 34, and I am a firefighter, and Georgie's a midwife. Yeah, so we wanted to get an investment property, and I knew that, wouldn't be able to get one around here, and I thought, going interstate was the best option, and, spending a lot of money to get an investment property. So I don't want to make a mistake. So get the professionals to do it right.
Nice. And mate, you've been successful in your own right with property. I mean, you're savvy from a young age. I think 22, you bought your first home after a period overseas working.
Yep. Yeah, deployed to Afghanistan in the army in 2012. I got back from that at the end of the year, and then early 23, I bought my first property.
Wow.
When I was only 22, yeah.
Well done, mate. And that would have put you on some sort of a trajectory, I would say.
Yeah, well,
set us up for life.
yeah, exactly.
I think one thing that I always notice with people that we help is the earlier you can get in, the better off you're going to be. Like, time is such a valuable asset with property, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you can get in at 22, like, I encourage people to do it sensibly, of course, and you got to get a good asset.
Yeah.
If it's 32 and you're financially ready to go, then get in. Don't sit on the sidelines and wait, because, I mean, too often people sit on the sidelines, they procrastinate, and the market just runs away from them.
Yeah.
Like year on year on year, it just runs away from them. And mate, I absolutely applaud you for doing that, because 22 is it's a tough age, right? Because a lot of your mates are buying new cars, or
That's what everyone did.
Yeah.
Bought a new car.
Yeah.
I was one of the few that, when I got a house.
So you identified property to say, yeah, I want to do this. I'm going to have
Yeah.
a bit of delayed gratification. I'll buy the new car a little bit later.
Yeah, exactly. Cars are a depreciating asset, and I wanted to build wealth and have an appreciating asset. So I thought the house was the way to go.
Awesome, mate.
Mm.
And with, I guess the knowledge around understanding, all right, we don't, we know the Central Coast area, but, interstate's probably just a whole nother beast. And I remember I was chatting initially, that might have been maybe 6 or so months before we kicked
actually
things off.
yeah.
We just needed to get a couple of ducks aligned. Obviously, I know, and I encourage everyone to do this. You got to kind of speak to a few different advisors just to see who's the right fit, and ensure that they've got the credibility, right, and they've got the experience. And then from a personality perspective, I think it's important that they're a good match as well. I know that's something that we're big on within our business. But what kind of led you to us, I suppose?
Well, obviously we've got the family personal connection, and so we did a little bit of research around that, like what's the role of the property buyer, and even like just chatting to our friends and family, your name came up straight away. We're like, oh yeah, cool, yep, that's just recommendations from everyone. Everybody had good things to say. So yeah, we didn't really know whether we needed one at first. It wasn't until we did a bit more research that we went, oh, we can't afford not to find a situation, especially going interstate with the different laws and legislation and stuff that we didn't really understand. Even though Jack had lived up there for 9 years, it was a bit different then. So
Yeah.
yeah,
We didn't buy in that area though.
exactly, yeah. So we
And we're open to Townsville and Toowoomba and where we got in Bundaberg. So it's good to have someone that knows the areas. And
I think from a time perspective as well, like we're both shift workers, so we are very time poor amongst, well, me a little bit more so than you, but with the kids. And we weren't really in a rush to buy. We wanted to really like take our time to get the right property. So that was probably one of the why it made it easier for us to go through you guys as well, because it was taking that pressure off.
I can remember some of our conversations, and young parents. I know you're a nurse, Georgie, and Jack, you're a fireman. You can be passing ships in the night a lot of times when you're shift workers, right? And then wrestling the kids and whatnot. And I can remember during our search, you know, a lot of the communication in the WhatsApp was coming in at all different hours, which
Yeah.
we're fine with. I think we
You're very flexible.
yeah, we're good with that as well. And you know, we work with a lot of clients overseas. I mean, at the moment, we've got a couple in Wisconsin, of all places. Also, we've got a client in Vegas. Actually, I think he's flying back today, and someone over in Europe as well. So, from a communications perspective, we're really mindful that people have their lives, and you're leaning on us to try and reduce that sort of time
Stress.
effort from
Yeah,
you, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, being able to do the Zoom calls was great, but it's also good to be able to do a face-to-face and, you know, do it all in person as well.
With, I guess, our recommendations of areas, I know Jackie had some understanding of the areas that we're buying in or targeting.
Yeah.
What made you feel comfortable with us targeting those locations?
Like you've done your research and, you know, you've helped people in those areas before, and you come to us with, what's it called? Like
The reports.
all the reports,
Yeah,
and
the
stuff like
reports,
that, with all the stats and everything. And that was, you know, had a lot of detail in that. So it was good to know that like
Easy
all
to
that
read.
information was there, and yeah, easy to read and easy to follow. And if I was to be doing that myself, you know, I'd be wondering, am I getting this information from the right spot? Are these stats correct? But having you bring it to us and just, you know, send it straight to us was super easy.
And I know, Jackie will big on obviously the details and some of the data as well. So, mate, I love that. I absolutely welcome it. In terms of just going down into the reads and unpacking an area and answering those
Very
detailed questions.
particular.
I love it. I absolutely will. And you
Sure,
should
we
be.
ask the
Do your
most annoying
research.
question.
No, there's no annoying questions. Like, I think anyone out there that's working with an advisor, whether it be in the property, accounting, financial planning, mortgage broking, like, you need to ask these questions,
Yeah.
right?
It's a lot of money, and
Yeah.
you want to do the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the process of buying, how did you find that? I guess, did you feel supported? Were you unsure? What did that kind of look like from your experience?
It's pretty seamless,
Yeah.
I found. Yeah. The
Yeah.
communication was
Communication's great.
like just exceeded my expectations for sure. Like even talking to Jade as well, she was just all over it. Hey, like,
Yeah.
yeah. And even if like, and she would tell us, oh, okay, Matt's, you know, on a plane right now, you know, he'll get back to you in an hour about that or whatever. Like
Yeah.
we had an expectation of when we would hear back, which was great for us because with our schedules, like,
Yeah.
you know, like sometimes you'd get one of us and then you were on shift and busy and I couldn't get onto you and I'd be like, sorry, like we'll get back to you on that. And, but it was always clear, concise.
Never had to wait long for a reply.
No, yeah.
If we had a question,
Yeah,
it was answered,
yeah,
you know,
that's right.
pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
That's
And
good.
when you're putting offers in as well on houses, like you kind of get a bit nervous, you know, in that limbo land of waiting to hear back. But you guys were so good because you would just feel like, right, we've spoken to them. This is when we expect to hear back from them, you know. So we had sort of something to go off, which was good. It sort of eased the anxiety a little bit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And that, look, because we're not in your shoes, right? We are very sensitive around kind of the feelings that you would get and the emotions that you would experience throughout that journey, right? And we're somewhat desensitized to it because, you know, we do it a lot.
All day, every day.
Yeah, but we are mindful of that. And I'm glad we're somewhat of a buffer between maybe you and the agent and obviously the bumpy ride along the way. Just refresh my memory. Did we miss out on anything along the way? I think we did, didn't we?
Silent auction that was really interesting platform to be dealing with.
Yeah.
Have never like done anything like that before, so that was pretty nerve-wracking, but I think really great outcome in the end to get the house that we did, and you know, we learnt heaps from it too, which was good.
That's good. Yeah, I think it's so important for anyone out there if you're looking to buy a property, especially as an investment property is, and I do remember that auction, you've got to just have your budget in mind, right? And if it exceeds that, then you've just got to let it go and have faith that there will be a better opportunity that pops up. And we've bought hundreds of properties, and I can hand on heart say the right property ends up in your lap. Like it really does.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're a perfect example of that. Like the property that we landed on in the end was almost exactly what we're after. It was well within budget. It was in one of our favorite suburbs in the country, by the way, a market that is still flying right now. Got a good patch of land. We've got a really good land component there, walking distance to the beach, all amenities we've got. So it's hard to kind of have that perspective when you've just missed out on a property, or if you're in the heat of an auction or in a negotiation with an agent, but you've really just got to stick to your guns, right?
Yeah, I think we did pretty well considering. But good experience though, to put your hat in the ring as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And it's all part of the journey. You got to get your cuts and bruises along the way, especially if you're going to do it on your own. You can get some cuts and bruises. If you've got a buyer's agent representing you, you're still probably going to wear some of those cuts and bruises as well. How's the property going so far? How are things performing?
Good.
Yeah.
No news is good news, right? Sort of, got an elderly couple in there at the moment, and it's been fine.
Easy, just easy.
Property manager's been good for you guys.
Yeah, she's been good.
Yeah.
That
was really helpful having like you guys have a relationship with like the locals up there as well, because we would have nowhere, like we wouldn't know where to start, like, and who to sort of reach out to find someone that's good, because we've had some shockers in the past. So
Property managers, they play such a critical role in your investment experience as a landlord, like absolutely critical, right? Depending on their level of experience, you can have a drastic different outcome with them. And I think also if you're doing it yourself and you are looking for an investment location, you really need to understand what those local demographics are, where the most desirable suburbs are, what the typical tenant looks like, what does the employment look like for the area, because that can typically somewhat safeguard you for the type of application that you're going to get when you get the property. And then it's about having the right property manager there to be able to facilitate who the most appropriate tenant is for your property, right? And they're not just grabbing anyone, they're grabbing the most suitable one.
Fit.
It's the right fit, and making sure that they've got the required income, so salary to be able to afford your rent. And of course, they're the right personalities to be in your property as well. Any other kind of bumps along the way, or anything good or bad that we kind of experienced?
it was all good, really. Like it didn't. Yeah.
And you're doing very, very well in terms of your investment journey. I mean, you own your own property, principal place of residence, your family home. You've also got your first investment under the belt.
Yep.
Absolutely flying.
Yep.
What's next?
I'd love to do it again.
Yeah, definitely. We had a chat about the goals in the next sort of 5 years or so.
Yeah.
And the idea was to have one investment property per kid. And I want a third kid, so.
We'll talk about that off air. That's good. But it's not a bad trade-off, Jack. Baby and then a house.
Yeah.
We do it a bit different in our house. We do holiday and then a house. So I can get an investment property when we book in a good holiday. So we've got Europe coming up in 2027. So I've got a big property purchase coming.
Yeah, nice.
No, that's good. So continuing to build out your portfolio sensibly, of course. We're big on buffers. We're making sure that you can put your head on your pillow each night and you're not stressing over, your financial position, or you're stressing over your property. That's the last thing that we want. And I'm sure you would know that through working with us. It's about sensible investment moves, right? Along a long period of time. And those compounding efforts, they really do kind of, I guess it's almost like the hockey stick effect, where, you do some subtle movements along the way and some subtle investing along the way, and that compound effect takes into effect, and then you really start to reap the rewards over a long period of time.
I think we bought it in September last year, and I was just waiting to hold it for a year and see how much it's gone up, and then talk to a broker and see what the options are, because I know there's a few things we want to do around the house, but whether to renovate and try and get a house later, or get another investment and then renovate.
Yeah. And I think it just comes down to your personal circumstances, where you're at in life, what's important to you.
Yeah.
But we're really looking forward to that 12-month anniversary check-in, where we will conduct a full valuation on your property to see how it's tracking. We'll also do a rental review as well, because it's important that, your property's up to market rent.
Yeah.
And it's good to have a clear understanding as to what your property is worth, each year.
Yeah, definitely.
Lastly, do you have any comments, or if anyone out there is considering using our service, what would you kind of say to them?
I definitely like recommend to use, yourself, and especially when it's, not in the area. I feel like when it's in the area, you can go check it out and have a look, and it's easy to find those details. But when it's, out of area, you don't have time to be flying to Queensland and checking all these properties and doing all the background checks that you do. So yeah, it's a no-brainer.
I had a conversation with Terry and Sam before they engaged with you guys, and my exact words to her were, you can't afford not to. Like, you live in Sydney, you've got young kids, you can't be up and down the freeway every other week looking at inspections, looking at houses. Like, this is your family home as well. And they were like, all right, it's a done deal. If you reckon it's a go, like, just
Absolutely loved helping them.
Yeah.
So good. Such a
So
great
good.
outcome as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, good fun along the way.
Yeah.
And that's something else, like, buying property doesn't need to be this big, overwhelming, challenging experience. Yeah, sure, people will only do it a handful of times throughout the course of their life, but something that we really try and do is make it seamless, make it enjoyable, make it fun where we can, because, you want to look back on it and have some fond memories. And I know with Sam and Terry, like, we look back on it now and kind of laugh and really just enjoy that time. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there that have a horrible experience when buying properties.
Right. And then they don't do it again.
No, they won't do it again, or they have a horrible experience buying an investment property. They get the wrong tenant, or they buy the wrong asset, and they're like, I'm not doing that. So yeah, that's something that we're really conscious on, and I'm glad that feedback is looping back to us.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very risky sort of situation to be in when you're putting all of your cards out there, I guess, and to have someone that's going to back you and know exactly what you're looking for and not have to retell that story every time you go to look at a house. You know what I mean? Like, that you've just got a team that's like, all right, they're on it, sweet. I can sit back and just catch the wave.
Enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks for coming in.
It's okay.
That was great. Anything else you want me to say, or you want to say?
Like, I thought getting a buyer's agent like yourself was, was more just to find the property and do all the research and stuff like that. But the last bit of the process, like the actual purchase and negotiating prices and
settlement
and organising conveyances and all that stuff, I didn't really think about all that extra stuff. And all that extra help at the end was awesome.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, and we can't buy a property on our own. We need to liaise with the mortgage broker. We engage a conveyancer and ensure that that's a state specialist conveyancer as well, because all of the different legislation through the variety of different states. You need a good building and pest inspector, especially someone that you can trust there.
Sort of stuff,
Potentially need to lean into some trades if there are some items in that building and pest report that pop up. And then also, property manager as well. So you've kind of got 5 or 6 different professionals that you should be leaning on if you want to have a good outcome and a good experience, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.